Okay guys, I finally did it. I finished part 2 of my 2021 project life. If you want to see part 1 of this year, 2021, I will link that up at the eye right now. Every year for Project Life, I have completed 2 12 by 12 albums since 2015. And so the first album is January through June, and the second album is July through December. For my cover page here, I put July through December across the bottom, 2021, and then I like including a large blown up photo for the second album cover page. And then I did cut out a quote card and added it on here. This was a professional photo. We had professional photos done in November of this year, and I used them, or October, I used them for my cover page here, and for my cover page for the 2022 album. One thing I do want to note is I went through a divorce in early 2022. So at the time that I'm finishing this, I know that I have gone through that. At this point in time, we were still trying to make our marriage work. So my husband was present for everything that happened. When I put some of the pages together, we were no longer together. So that kind of colored how I created that page. But I still tried to include him to the extent it wasn't really like a relationship thing, but it was more like with our daughter or something like that, because he was in fact there. And I have mixed feelings about it, but I'm very happy overall that I have these albums done, even though that chapter of my life is closed. So without any more, I'm going to flip through this. Photos of all of these spreads are on my Instagram, which is linked in the description box below, and you can go there to see more information about any of the pages. I tend to work with a kit most weeks. This one I can see I used a lot of Studio Calico, which is a company that I've subscribed to for a couple of years now, but I don't believe I'm going to be subscribing any longer in 2023. So this was using the Studio Calico kit, but I did also bring in some pieces from Ali Edwards Stories by the Month. Here I'm working with the Strong Story Kit. I really enjoy bringing story kits into my Project Life album and using them as a lens to tell my stories. For this week, I had these 4x4 cards that I cut down to turn into 3x4 journaling cards. And I just used some repeated stamping and treatment so that they would have cohesiveness across the spread. I also had some more difficult journaling that I wanted to be hidden. So I created this with a little flip up that's actually inside the pocket. So if you want to read the journal, you have to pull it out and flip it open, which I'm not going to share here. Moving on, this week I'm using just a collection of items from my stash, which is something I like to do a lot. I included in here a layout that was made with the July Stories by the Month digital kit. And I like to include some layouts, inserts in here as I feel like making them about things that are going on at this point in time in my life. So this one was from the Care Story Kit. And I believe this spread is also from the Care Story Kit. Some story kits I think are easier than others to use in Project Life. This one, I believe these cards had some kind of text that was focused on caring, and I covered it up to make it more general for my spread. Then this week we were on vacation in Cape Cod. I did a traveler's notebook for this trip, so I didn't want to fully document it again here. So instead I chose some photos from the trip and simply put them in the pockets. And then I masked additional photos into the letters to spell Cape Cod in Photoshop Elements and printed those out as 3x4 cards and added just one journaling card to put some highlights from this vacation. Moving into August, I'm using the August Stories by the Month. This was a mix of both the digital and physical kits. In 2021, I was on the Ali Edwards creative team. So a lot of these spreads were some of my assignments for those those products. Here I'm moving to the And Story Kit. This one was super fun because the And Story Kit came with these prompts, and I used them as a jumping off point to journal in the moment and kind of pick and choose one that fit that day. And I used it to journal about what was going on in my life at this point in time. And then I went back and added the photos later. Here I have some more layouts in here, just an around here spread. Those are always fun. And then another one using the And Story Kit, where I just kind of listed all of the things going on in my life at this point in time. This week was super fun. I'm using a mix of cards. Some of these are from Paper Person Shop and some are from Ali Edwards. Here I have just an insert. This is not some layouts. Instead, it's just some random scraps of things from ephemera that I picked up from a bridal shower that I went to this week, and a map from where we went to the lake. So I like to include that kind of stuff in my Project Life album. Okay, moving on. Here, this is the first week of school, so I did some back to school photos. We had a block party, so I had a flyer from that. And then this was one of the last things I created. So I do have these inserts, like I've said, but I want to always include something on both the front and the back to have it completed. Sometimes it is something just simpler, like a piece of pattern paper just to finish it off. But here I had this flyer from our block party, so I wanted to include something on the back, and I created this spread just doing a recap of the month of September. This week, I decided to do something kind of fun and document the week using just stamps. So I did have a couple pieces of pattern paper, but besides that, I used no embellishments. I just pulled stamps and created my own embellishments. I did add staples, but I feel like that's more of an adhesive than anything else. And I thought that was a super fun kind of challenge to myself. This week I used the Evening Story Kit, and I did this by documenting during the week. Because evenings is very specific of a kit, I needed to know ahead of time that that's what I was going to do when creating my Project Life. And so I was able to look for those photos and stories while I lived the week. And I ended up actually with a ton of extra photos and stories because I was so focused on it during the week. And I had some stuff that wasn't evening related. So I ended up putting an insert in here to include a few more things and document some of the like fall stuff that happened while still doing the Evening Story Kit for these 3 pages. And then I brought it in here a little bit to make sure that the colors coordinated. This one was done for a class I was participating in. And then here is another travel one. So when we travel, there's always a lot of photos. So I decided to keep it super simple because I don't think I'm planning to make another mini album for this one, but I still wanted to include a lot of photos. So I just had a few pieces of ephemera and I had one journaling card to kind of summarize. And you can see this is only a couple days. This was just a long weekend. And when I say weeks, I tend to go Monday through Sunday, but I will adjust for something like that so that this wasn't combined with this spread here, because otherwise all these photos would have been cut out when, because there's so much from this vacation. Here, moving into October, I created a flip up here, and this was using the October Stories by the Month kit from Ali Edwards. And again, this was using October Stories by the Month, and this was using November Stories by the Month. Actually, that was October too. And here's using the Glow Story Kit. I just love looking back on these. This one is from the Write Story Kit. I had a lot of fun with that kit. And then moving in to the end of October. So here I'm using a Paper Person kit. So in 2021, I subscribed to Paper Person. And so I used a lot of those kits in these albums. I no longer subscribe there, so I'm not using their products quite as much. Here in November, I pulled out my foil quill. I think this is actually when I first got it. And I had fun creating this background card and this title card using digital products from the store, Digital Stories by the Month kit, and my foil quill. Oh, and also I added a foil heart on here. This is using the Laugh Story kit. Super fun. And then this one was another stash when I have some pieces from November Stories by the Month and Cocoa Daisy, just a few different things. Sometimes I just want a super simple spread like this. At this point, I was already going back and filling these in later, so I was definitely keeping them simpler because I wanted to get it done. Here's the week of Thanksgiving. There's a lot of photos again, so again, very simple, focus on the photos. Moving into December, this is using the December Stories by the Month, and as you can see, it's still keeping it extremely simple. Here I'm working with the Freckled Fawn kit, their December themed kit, which I believe is still available. And I'm using additional pieces from that in my December daily album this year. This one was super fun. I created this with the Delight Story kit. I printed out some of the, I don't even remember how I made this. This is like on vellum. And then I cut out the word Delight here. And then I printed the hearts on canvas and cut them out to make this like exploding hearts, because when I thought of little moments of delight, I just felt like little bursts, right? And then here was a recap of Christmas 2021. And like this week, it's not yet Christmas, but I wanted this one here, so it just kind of pairs them so that they fit in the same spread. And I also, when deciding where to put my inserts, I try to put them where it's not really breaking up a very cohesive spread. So although this one uses the same kit, there's not like a repeated element or something that I don't want to interrupt. So like this one is using the Glow Story kit, and these just really are cohesive and go together. So I didn't want to break it up with another insert. And then the week of Christmas, this is using the Layered Life holiday collection from this year, from 2022. I really love how this one came out. And then the final week is just a partial week here. We went to DC, so I put that as its own spread, and I focused very heavily on the photos, but I used pieces from the Ali Edwards 2022 travel collection. Finally, I ended off the album with a few cards from my stash from the December Stories by the Month, and this one I think was from an older January one. And I chose a photo of myself from every month. I had a few that had my daughter, and then I was putting the stickers for the month, but I accidentally did 2 from October, and then this was my November one, so I guess I just had like an extra photo. I don't know why it ended up that way, but this was I just stopped doing the stickers. It was fine, and then I just wrote a few reflections on like big pieces of my year and called that done. So thank you so much for looking at my album. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you liked it, please let me know by leaving a like or a comment. And if you want to see more like this, I do also have flip throughs of some of my older Project Life albums and the first half of 2022, so I will link a few of those on the screen. Thanks for being here. Bye.